Okay, can you guys hear me now? Apparently I was muted. I've never done this on YouTube before, so I apologize. Can you hear me now? So guys, I guess I'll have to start over. Apparently I was muted. I had no idea I was muted, so I think you can hear me because I just heard myself. Okay, they can hear me now. Okay, great. I'm going to have to start over since you guys couldn't hear me. I'm sitting in my hotel room. I've got my notes here. I want to let you guys know what happened in court today. So let me get some water. So basically, they started the day with 70 prospective jurors. They had 70 prospective jurors showed up. 51 of them were women, 19 were men. George Wagner, the fourth attorney, said, we want to strike this whole panel. You know, they had filed this motion last week saying, we want to strike the whole panel. This is not fair to George the fourth because working class jurors who couldn't afford to take off work for jury duty were excused for financial hardship. Apparently Pike County only pays $10 a day for jury duty. This is a county that's smaller. It's between like about 28,000 people. They pay $10 a day. It's a poor county. For those of you who don't know, the state of Ohio actually passed legislation and allotted money to help Pike County pay for these trials because the county couldn't afford to do so. I think it was at least $1 million that was allotted by the state of Ohio to pay for the trials. So Jake and Angela Wagner have pleaded guilty, obviously. They've agreed to testify against George and Billy. Jake and Angela said during, their hearings to plead guilty, they admitted that basically they planned and carried out these murders, the whole family did, so they could get custody of Jake's daughter, who he shared with Hanna Rhoden, one of the 8 victims who was killed that night. So George's attorneys didn't feel that it was fair that the judge excused for financial hardship a lot of these jurors who said they couldn't take off work. They said working class jurors shouldn't be excluded from the panel because of their financial situation, and that was discriminatory and not fair to George. They also said that the panel skews heavily toward women because there are 51 women who are on this panel and then 19 men. Over the last 2.5 weeks, the initial 500, between 500 and 1,000 jurors were whittled down to this 70 of what they call death qualified jurors. And that simply means that these jurors, through questioning, have said, I am willing, if I have to implement the death penalty, to find the death penalty as a suitable punishment if it's proven necessary, if it's warranted, if it meets all the criteria, things like that. So the judge denied that motion, asking to strike the whole panel. And so at the beginning of the day, they read all of the witnesses' names in this case, right? There are a lot of prospective witnesses in this case, 264 prospective witnesses. Many of them at like 95 state agents with the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. There's no way they're going to call 95 agents, but these are people that are all possibly can be called as witnesses in this case. There were also people from the U.S. Department of Justice, Homeland Security. You might be wondering, why is that? Well, you have to keep in mind, this case, they went all the way to Alaska to investigate this case because the Wagners, more than a year after the murders, moved to Alaska. They took Jake, Angela, Billy, George. They took the children, George's daughter and Jake's daughter, who he shared with Hanna. They moved to Alaska. So the cops went to Alaska for a time and surveilled them and kept an eye on them and did whatever it is they do. There was also a trip to Montana for this. I think there was even something on the Canadian, the border with Canada that happened. So a lot's gone on with this. So they read all of the names of the potential witnesses. Since this is a small place, a lot of these people possible jurors, potential jurors, knew a lot of these names. So it just depends on how well they knew them.
A lot gone on.
So there you have it. There was also some talk about Angie Canepa, the special prosecutor in the case. She was asking people, do you believe, you're going to be given an instruction about complicity. And basically complicity means you stand by and let something happen. You know it's happening. You don't try to stop it. And she also talked about aiding and abetting, because George Wagner IV's lawyers have made a lot of hay about how they say he didn't pull the trigger. And there was even a suggestion at one point in time in some court documents that he went along that night to keep Billy from possibly killing Jake. Okay, so I remember reporting on that a while ago. So even though the contention is that George didn't pull the trigger, the state still says, no, it doesn't matter if he didn't or not. Or if Jake says he didn't, he was still there, he was present, he didn't try to stop it, things of that nature. So Angie Canepa was asking a lot of questions to jurors, like, so, it's like a bank robbery. If the getaway driver says to the bank robber, go in there, but don't kill anybody, I'm not going down for murder, the bank robber still kills somebody and you're the getaway driver, you're still guilty of murder. You're still culpable or responsible. And the jurors said they understood that. There was also an analogy about a pirate and walking the plank. I didn't quite get that. But there was also talk about autopsy and crime scene photos. And Angie Canepa was just explaining to the jurors that they're going to be seeing some graphic crime scene photos and graphic autopsy photos that are necessary to prove the case and to present as evidence. And the jurors that we saw in the box, because there are 12 in the juror box at one time who are questioned, as some are dismissed, then they replace that one with another juror. And these jurors said they understood that. Jen Fry has a question. Jen is asking, was he offered any kind of plea deal? I know the answer to that. And the answer is, and this was stated in court during another hearing, and it may have been for George IV, but it was basically stated that all four defendants, Jake, Angela, George, Billy, the state went to all four of them and said, if you want to cooperate, here's what we'll offer. If you want to cooperate or make a deal, we're extending that opportunity to you. Apparently, Jake and Angela were the only ones who took them up on the offer, and it doesn't appear at this point that any more deals or any more offers are being made. So if you ask me, Jake and Angela have already pleaded guilty and agreed to testify against George and Billy. What more do you, George and Billy at this point, have no leverage. So why would the state offer them a deal? There was also talk, Angie Canepa was asking people about their memories. She was like, when my kids were younger, we would go on a trip. I can tell you we went on the trip, but I can't necessarily remember which seat which child sat in the car. She said, so do you understand that sometimes people can say, yeah, I was there, I did this or I did that, but they don't remember all the details. And the jurors said they understood that. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder if one of the witnesses is going to be able to, tell the story of what they say happened, but then not recall all of the details. Because that happens. Think about this. Think about this was, by all accounts, by what Jake and Angela have said, essentially a mission to kill 8 people in one night. I would imagine that has to be traumatic. And our memories, sometimes things stand out and sometimes other things don't. I feel like that with conversations I have, sometimes I remember many, many details and other times I don't. Then we got to the questioning by the defense team, by George Wagner IV's lawyers. And I think we know where they're going with this. This is kind of interesting. There were questions about, abuse, knowing anybody has alcoholism in their family. what their feelings are on plea bargains or why somebody would plead guilty or enter into a plea bargain. There was another question. Have you ever known a family where they favor one child over another? I thought that was interesting as well. It makes me wonder, was Jake the favorite child? I don't know, but it seems like the defense might be going somewhere with all of this. Have you ever known a family that keeps secrets from one another? So that was interesting. They talked about different family dynamics and different lifestyles. They asked about different lifestyles, and I don't know what they mean by that or where they're going with that, but I do know that we've heard from the prosecution, at least, that the Wagners operated as like one unit. They did everything together. They shared finances. They were very enmeshed with one another. Jake and Hanna, for a time, lived at the home on Peterson Road with Jake and Hanna lived with Angela and George and his wife at the time, Tabby. So they all lived together in this house. Billy was living over at the Flying W, helping take care of his father, who was sick, Bob. And so Bob Wagner was dying back then and very ill with, I don't remember what exactly. So I don't know if they're meaning that's a different lifestyle where, you know, two grown men with their significant others are living with mom. I don't know if that's what they mean by other lifestyles or if there's more to that, but they're obviously going somewhere with this. So they're talking about abuse. Or I don't know if they're going to suggest that George IV was abused, that maybe there was alcoholism that led to abuse in the family, mental illness, undiagnosed mental illness, domestic violence, things of that nature. So those were the questions we heard today. 5 prospective jurors were eliminated. So we have a pool of 65 left, and it will continue tomorrow. So we'll see how long it takes tomorrow. And then after that, the jury, after they're seated, I think on Wednesday, they're planning to take them to see the crime scenes and stuff. There's actually 9 locations where they're going, and let me pull that up so I can tell you about them. So George has waived his right to be present at the jury view. So we've got 4077 Union Hill Road, 4199 Union Hill Road, 3122 Union Hill Road, 1084 Left Fork Road. The property, the Wagner family home, you know, where Jake, Billy, and Angela, or I'm sorry, Jake, George, and Angela were living at the time of the murders on Peterson Road in Adams County. The Flying W farm, they're going to be taken there, and they're going to be directed to look at the large pond there. We know, and I know, that the large pond was searched many times. There were divers there. I actually encountered divers there back in 2019. I happened upon them. They had metal detectors, all kinds of things. So they'll be looking at that. The outside of the house at the Flying W, outbuildings, property on Bethel Hill Road. That is where Angela, Billy, George, Jake, and Tabby once lived. So I think there was something that went on there too related to this. Also, they're going to be taken to a property on State Route 41. That is where the Wagners stored their belongings after they sold the house in Adams County in 2017. May of 2017, the cops went to the house on Peterson Road. They also searched, because I was out there, they searched the property on State Route 41 as well. They're also going to be directed to look at roads connecting the 4 crime scenes with the defendants' residences and pertinent points along those roads. I find that interesting. They're going to be taken to also the property on Havner Lane in South Webster, which is in Scioto County. And they're going to be told to look at the garage, outbuildings, things like that, things of that nature. And that property, I believe, is where Angela Wagner's father lived. He passed away sometime, I believe, in 2018. And then they will also be taken to a storage location where the basically the camper of Kenneth, where he was killed, and the 3 mobile homes where the Rhodens lived and Hanna Gilley, where those are all in storage and have been for some time. Also, the pickup truck at an impound lot at the Pike County Sheriff's Office. That pickup truck, apparently Jake had said that they bought a vehicle to use to carry out these murders. So they'll be taken to look at all of that. So they've got a lot to look at. A lot. George has waived his right to be present for that, so he won't be going along on the jury view. So I've seen where defendants do go on the jury view before. Jen, so they started with 70 this morning. They put 12 in the box, so to speak. So they put 12 in the box and then they question them. And as say they take 1 or 2 out because they're excused for whatever reason, then they'll put 2 more in. So they've got a panel of 12 right now, but it's like they haven't done the strikes yet, you know, that kind of thing. So there's they've excused 5, so there are 65 prospective jurors left. So they don't really have a whole panel seated, but they do have 12 in the box. Questioning resumes tomorrow morning. So yeah, so that's what I have to tell you guys at this point. Like, I feel like I just gave you a lot of information. There's a lot going on with this. Have somebody texting me. Sorry. So yeah, that's what we've got. Sorry if I don't have more information for you, but it's a lot. I mean, I need to put something together kind of outlining the whole deal with this case, because it's is absolutely awful and insane. To think that you would kill a whole family, 8 people in one night, is really, really terrible. So I think I'm going to start doing this more. I used to do a lot of Facebook Lives. I haven't really done those in a long time. I don't know if this is better, if Facebook Live's better. I would like to do a little bit more on YouTube. I see people doing that stuff all the time, and I'm thinking to myself, why don't I do that? So I am going to get off here now. I have a lot of work to do, and I'd really like to be able to update you guys more. So we will talk soon, and maybe I'll get back on here tomorrow. So I hope everybody has a good night. I might write up a web story too. I'm not sure yet, but if you have any questions, feel free to send me a tweet or something. Opening statements next week. So that'll be September 6th. That'll be a big day. So everybody have a good night. Okay. Talk soon.